Hello everyone, welcome back to Diving into Doctor Who here on It's a Wonderful Podcast. We are getting into the very tasty bits, Jeannine, of season 1, Christopher Eccleston's tenure, of course, as the 9th Doctor. And we're coming at you today in a time of unsuredness about Doctor Who's future. We're not quite sure what's going on. We do know there's going to be a Christmas special episode in 2026, but what will come after that? Who will be the new Doctor? What on earth happened with the end of Ncuti Gatwa's second season? Will the showrunner come back? Does anybody even want him to come back, given that it's the same showrunner we're talking about on Diving into Doctor Who did come back, and everybody was very excited. And it started off pretty well. What's going on with Doctor Who in the present day? Nobody is quite sure. And it's a little bit sad, but that is all to say it's important to now talk about the kind of things we like about Doctor Who, the times we like about Doctor Who, the celebrating of specific eras of Doctor Who that mean something to us. And that's obviously exactly what we're doing on Diving into Doctor Who. And as we definitely do get to, as I said, the tasty bits of season 1, not that we've had no tasty bits up until this point. I mean, it's been pretty great. All around, as we both well know, because of course this fundamentally is a Jeannine Hasn't Seen series, but this was the one season of Doctor Who you had actually watched many times, many years ago.
Yes.
But didn't remember everything that was going on.
I'm getting glimmers of memories of things as we watch, and I'm like, okay, I remember this happening, I remember that happening.
Obviously last week with
this character,
the Empty Child two-parter, you were very stuck in your memory, as it did for everybody, the Empty Child two-parter. And of course, coming after that, well, I'm wondering if anything that happens in these two episodes stuck in your mind from all that time ago, because the second episode we're talking about today is technically the first episode of the finale two-parter. And the first episode we'll be talking about today is this sort of lull in between, kind of underappreciated episode, I think, because it comes in the middle of two pretty great big two-parters. People seem to forget about this first episode I think we're talking about today, unfairly so. It's definitely a smaller scale, a bit of a quieter, well, maybe not smaller scale, I suppose.
By the end of it,
big scale.
It gets pretty intense,
But it's a bit more one location, bit more kind of
contained conversations, kind of thoughtful character moments, as opposed to kind of big bombastic things throughout. I think we don't really get that until the end of the episode, and even then that's kind of a quick flash, and then we kind of
So how are we feeling at the minute? Obviously, after today's episode of Diving into Doctor Who, we do of course only have one more episode of the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, in his, and the season finale. This wasn't a surprise to you, of course. You knew this was happening. But the parting of the ways, which is that episode's title, will have its own episode of Diving into Doctor Who. So it may be a bit of a shorter one, but maybe not. We'll see how we get on. But we have today Boomtown and Bad Wolf. Of course, it's all been leading up to Bad Wolf, hasn't it? All the little teases of Bad Wolf throughout the entire season. But did we remember anything from these particular episodes?
Mostly Bad Wolf. I remembered once I started watching it. I remembered that game show element. I remember the whole Weakest Link thing, because that obviously was a show that came from there, and it actually came to the US for a while with the same host.
I
And
didn't
that was
know
kind of
that.
a
I did not know that.
yeah, that was kind
You
of
told
a
me this before.
yeah, that was kind of a pop culture moment. People quoting that line, "You are the weakest link, goodbye."
Yeah.
So that was a thing for a little
I
bit.
once actually convinced my entire school class that Anne Robinson was my grandmother.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
seriously? Wow, my goodness.
which I found funny. I
Idiot.
always used to watch The Weakest Link. The Weakest Link was great. Anne Robinson was a horrible, horrible woman. I mean, probably wasn't a horrible,
In
horrible
real life,
woman.
but on the show, just
Um,
this
her
cold
persona,
character.
her performing persona was that
Yeah.
of just a harsh, cold, dry woman.
Yes,
Um,
but I mean, that made her a pop culture icon
it
here
did
and there. So,
very much.
yes, I'm surprised you didn't know that that show had transferred over here
No,
for a
I
little bit.
really thought
Yeah.
it was. I thought a lot of what was going on in Bad Wolf, to be honest, was frighteningly British in
Yeah,
terms of,
British
like mid two
reality
thousands
television.
British.
Yeah.
Uh, but it has a Big Brother version. It
Yeah,
has like a fashion show. There was two sort of
like a
fashion,
makeover.
like
Yeah.
a makeover show. Two fashion designers
Yeah.
who were around. I don't even remember the names properly now. I know I know what it was based on. I know what that
Yeah.
element of Bad Wolf was based on.
Yeah.
But it was one of those makeover shows that were all
Yeah.
everywhere in
But
the
not to
2000s. That
wear.
were
I
all kind of,
remember that was a huge
yeah,
show. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Let's get naked and give you a makeover and that sort of stuff. And
Well,
obviously, Jack
considering
Hart.
the character who gets
Well,
naked, yeah.
yeah. Yes, I mean it makes well, that's what happens. That's what
Yeah.
happens. So there's a lot of fun commentary on pop culture from 20 years ago in Bad Wolf, I think. But we'll end the episode there, of course, because we are starting with Boomtown, which comes before
Yes.
Jeannine. This is well, it's the return of one member of the Slitheen family, isn't it?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
how do we feel about the Slitheen, or at least one of them, coming back into the show after their two-parter, of course, early on? Now it feels like a while ago that
Yes.
Aliens of London and World War III came to a
Yeah.
conclusion.
I mean, she was a good pick to kind of be the one to hang back because I think she was very memorable in those
Yeah,
episodes. So you immediately recognize her as kind of a callback to that, even if you haven't seen that episode in a bit. Um, so yeah, and then obviously when she kind of plays into something more sympathetic, I think it's more
yeah,
believable. It's more believable from her than I think it would have been from the other Slovene characters. Um, yeah, I liked her coming back. I liked revisiting that in a really interesting way. I liked the moral kind of conflict that happens. It felt very the moral conversations that happen, felt very similar to kind of the moral conflicts and that kind of, mic drop line that the Dalek threw on the Doctor and kind of, like,
yeah, a little bit.
testing. Yeah, so her kind of, like, testing them, they are kind of, like, end up getting into a situation where they are sentencing her to her death, and she
Yeah,
kind of, challenges all of them to look her in the eye, and none of them can, and so, yeah, bringing this character back who has done these terrible things, and then you kind of have to decide throughout the episode if you really genuinely believe this change that she's kind of saying she's made, um, or if she's just kind of manipulating them
yeah.
to not go be sent to her death. So I like kind of the moral quandaries that happen there in the episode for sure with bringing that character back.
It's asking the question: is it right to take a life?
Yeah,
It's quite simply it's questions and philosophies around essentially the death penalty, but
yeah.
made for family audiences. It's quite
Yeah,
impressive.
it's kind of not dumbed down, but kind of put into a context that I think is more
Yeah,
digestible. And like, in comparison to that Dalek line, it's like, you are accusing me and sending me to my death for these deaths that I have caused,
yeah.
but, you're causing my death, so what makes you better than me?
What
How
makes you
does that
better than me? What
yeah,
makes you
how does that
different?
not bring you to my level?
Yeah.
because you're so easily and coldly putting somebody to death. So how does that make you different from me? So
Yeah.
yeah, really
And,
interesting.
Doctor has to think on that, really, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He has to ponder over that. And elements like that, I don't think, I think it's unfair that they're maybe forgotten about or maybe not as well thought of as
Yeah.
obviously a lot of the other episodes in this first season are and were, because there's an awful lot of great stuff in
Yeah.
this first season, but Boomtown is one of them. And don't look over Boomtown as just this episode in between two great two-parters. It is
Yeah.
its own great little episode with its own
Mhm.
great little moral conversation.
Yeah.
I'll give a quick synopsis generally of this
Okay.
episode, but we are. The Ninth Doctor, Rose, and Jack Harkness travel to modern-day Cardiff and meet up with Rose's boyfriend Mickey, who's not really any longer Rose's boyfriend, is he really? We'll get into
Yeah.
that. There they discover that their enemy, I'm going to say the full name of the Slitheen now,
Ooh.
Blonfelfoch Passamir de Slitheen,
Ooh.
is very much alive, if without an easy escape route from Earth, and is willing to rip apart the planet to ensure her freedom. She is, yes. This is I think what maybe is a bit funny about the episode Boomtown is that it is obviously all in Cardiff, and
Yeah.
this was obviously a big part of this era of Doctor Who. It was made by BBC Wales,
Yeah.
Russell T Davies, the showrunner, and the current showrunner, if he still even is the showrunner, we don't really know. Is Welsh, obviously, and there was a lot of Welsh production. So it
Yeah.
was all very Cardiff based. Yes, we've had London episodes where
Mhm.
we've come back to Earth, sure,
Yeah.
but it's very Cardiff based, and it's odd, I think, really. I always have this thing, don't I, where, any time Britain is depicted in American movies or what have you, it's always London or the
London. Yeah.
countryside.
Yes.
And there's no really other cities that you go
Yeah.
to. Yet when Doctor Who, actively a British show, decides to base a massive coming towards the end of a season storyline in Cardiff, of all places, it still feels strange to me. It's like, why are we in Cardiff? It's just a bit
Yeah.
weird that we're in Cardiff and all this is happening in Cardiff. Thankfully, it obviously brings an earlier storyline from the season back into play. If we all remember the Unquiet Dead, the
Yeah.
Charles Dickens
Mhm.
celebrity historical episode, that and those gaseous, ghostly looking
Yeah.
creatures that came from that, which were the Gelth, who lived in the rift in time and were trying to escape and all this kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
which was in Cardiff.
Yeah.
That comes back into play because what is Blonfelfoch Passamir de Slitheen trying to do? Open this
This
rift in
rift.
time and space
Yeah.
back up in order to escape properly
Yeah.
and rip the planet and you know do what she needs to do what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Um, it's still all about profit, really. How is she doing this? Well, she's building a
Building a
nuclear power
nuclear power
station
plant. Yeah.
in the middle of Cardiff, ripping down Cardiff Castle, which, if you've ever seen a picture of Cardiff Castle, to do something like that, why she's getting a round of applause from these people, I've
Right?
no idea.
They're all in.
We should also say, how is she even allowed to do this? She's obviously not in Slitheen, you know, guise here. She's
Yeah.
wearing her human suit.
Skin suit. Yeah.
Um, Obviously, May off of Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Annette Badland. Great performance. I mean,
Yeah.
notably stepped up in her performance in this episode
Yes.
than
Yes.
her, the Slitheen two-parter as well.
Because she has a lot to play to
Um,
here, I think.
she does.
Yes, and we kind of hear through a reporter who's kind of investigating this, writing a story on the building of this plant and questioning her, that a lot of people have died around the kind of getting
Yeah.
this off the ground in weird, strange accidents, and she's listing off kind of these strange deaths, and every single one she has some excuse for, to kind of explain it away, as she's about to lead this woman to the bathroom where she's going to then kill her because she doesn't want her
Yes.
printing all of this. So, and that's where the kind of moral dilemma with her character kind of comes in.
I mean,
Um,
we see the episode open. She kills like a scientific advisor who
yeah,
is saying, like, Are we really sure?" Because she's the mayor. We should say this.
yeah, oh yeah,
She's the new Lord Mayor of Cardiff.
yeah.
But she doesn't like any photos being taken of her because obviously, if a photo's taken of her, somebody,
Everybody
i.e.,
will
Doctor,
recognize who she
will
is. Yeah,
recognize who she is,
yeah,
and think, "Wait a minute, that was a suit. That was a skin suit that a Slitheen was wearing
yeah,
not that long ago,
yeah,
in present day Britain."
yeah,
Um, so what's going on there?
yeah.
So she's the Lord Mayor of Cardiff. How she's got to be the Lord Mayor of Cardiff, we don't
Yeah, what
know, and
was
we
that
don't really
campaign?
care.
What did that campaign look like?
How did she get to be the Lord Mayor of Cardiff without being seen? Is another
Yeah,
question.
or
Like that
being
doesn't really make sense.
photographed. Yeah,
But okay.
yeah.
So you can suspend your
Suspended
disbelief for
disbelief
these kind
for
of things.
yes. It's just this is where we are. This is what's happening.
It is literally just this is where we are. We cannot focus too much on the trying to make
Minutia.
sense of Doctor Who
Yeah, yeah,
too much, because once we get further and further into Doctor Who, obviously as the future will hold for us in one way or another, Jeannine,
mhm,
it will become more and more obvious that you cannot take continuity in Doctor Who seriously.
yeah,
You just are unable to. It won't allow you to, because it works like a comic book essentially in that way, where
yeah,
a new Doctor will come on and you've literally just got to take it as a fresh new thing, or a new showrunner will come on and you have literally got to take it as a fresh new thing.
yeah,
You cannot look too much about what came before unless it actively brings it up
yes,
and discusses it itself, which it would obviously make a point to do if it does do that. But so we're not really overly bothered on that, but we do open with her killing a scientific advisor who's very unsure. It's like, what are we really convinced about this nuclear power station? It's definitely going to explode, Lord Mayor.
yeah,
It's definitely not safe at all.
yeah.
Why are we building it? To which he essentially just gets, "Shut up, unzip my
We're doing
forehead,
it.
slash in the
Yeah.
face."
Exactly. Yes. So we're already seeing her start this episode in the same kind of sinister aspect that we know her to be. So we're already just not so she has a big kind of task ahead of her to get us to feel any kind of sympathy. And somehow at a certain point we
Yeah,
do. So
we
that's
do.
just a testament to her performance in this episode and what she has to work with.
It is, but I mean, what are our TARDIS gang doing while she's doing
Yeah.
that? They're just hanging out, having a fun day
Yes.
after
So
saving all those people in the Blitz.
yes, I'm loving the rapport of the 3 of them, just so easy with each other, kind of a well-oiled machine. They know what they need to do, they know where they are gonna go, and they're just kind of enjoying their time together.
Yeah.
Rose asks Mickey to come bring her passport so she can see him, and he, of course, is, very much wishy-washy in terms of he's doing this because he wants to be around her, but then he's just annoyed, especially now that she's hanging out with 2 guys and, like
Yeah.
and he's just annoyed at not knowing where he stands with her. So I love that we
Just
get it. I love that we
remember, we
get
haven't seen Mickey for a while.
yes, and so I love that we're getting an episode addressing that, where we're actually kind of calling out Rose's behavior, because we love her and we love her being flirty and having fun with, these guys and doing what she needs to do, and kind of how she even came to do this. You really commend her for kind of seeing something that she was just kind of good at and leaning into it and taking that
Yeah.
chance. And so you admire her for that. But then you also, this episode really has you step back and realize, yeah, she is being kind of crappy to Mickey in terms of how she just left and didn't really kind of settle where they stood. And she still but she still wants him around,
Yeah.
when she wants him around. And so she's kind of playing this push and pull game with him. And so I like that we actually take the time to really deal with that, and lean
Yeah.
into that.
And it's a good scene from Mickey as well, because it's kind of a heartbreaking scene. He does break
Yeah.
down. He does like raise his voice and start just being really upset. Why did you leave me? Why do you think I'm just gonna always be here? I am gonna always be here because it's always you. I don't want to go out with whoever he's decided to now go out with because
Yeah.
Rose isn't there. And they have a bit of an argument about that. You don't
Yeah.
even like Trisha or whatever she's called.
Yes, and he's like, "Who are you to say anything about it? Like, I'm just
Yeah.
with her
You
because
don't
I
know,
can't
you're
be
not
with you."
there.
Exactly. So, but I mean, it starts out really nice. He's a little frustrated when he gets there, brings her passport, but she is just very sweet to him, and like always. And
Yeah.
the four of them ultimately end up kind of having a fun little day. And
Yeah.
Captain Jack's telling this funny story at a restaurant, and um, they're just yucking it up and having a good time. And then, of course, the very observant doctor is looking around and he sees something in a newspaper that catches his eye.
Yes.
And so that's what kind
Did you
of
stop?
kicks us into gear into them having to get serious about something.
In that scene, it's a great scene. I love the hangout element of this
Yeah.
episode as
Mhm.
well. It's something you don't get enough of
Yeah.
because there's always something major going on in
Yes.
Doctor
So this
Who.
bit of moment of levity and leisure. And also we get this kind of fun back and forth conversation about the police box and how people wouldn't
Yes,
recognize it. And we get a kind of bit of an explanation because it's like questions that an audience would ask. And so we
of
get that
course.
in Mickey. I always love that kind of audience POV character. It's why I love Winston from the Ghostbusters. Mickey gets to kind of be that character who asks those questions that seem very silly to the doctor, but it's
Yeah.
clearly like what probably you're asking if you're watching this for the first time. So I love that we kind of get this fun back and forth and playful kind of answering of the question of why is it a police box? How do people not, stop and want to look in it or recognize it or pay attention to
Yeah.
it? And why is it stuck that way and all these kinds of things. So I love that we kind of get that little playful back and forth answer to
Yes.
the very age-old question in Doctor Who. Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you didn't know, it's because when Doctor Who first started in the 60s, police boxes were a thing. The Doctor says this as
Yeah.
much
Mhm.
in, I first landed in 1960s London, and these were around, so it
Yeah.
blended in very nicely.
Yeah.
Um, they haven't been around for some time, and, Mickey says, well, I've never seen a police box. These haven't been around for some time. And essentially, the Doctor's answer is just, well, I like it this way. I could
Well,
change it,
yeah.
but I like it this way.
Well, because it had this cloaking thing, so it would just be
Yeah.
whatever it needed to be no matter where you were. So if you were in,
Yeah.
like, some in ancient Greece, it would look like some statue or
Yes.
something,
Yeah.
but it got stuck on the image of a police box, and so he likes it, so he
Yeah.
just left it as that. Yeah.
And I love his explanation of what does everybody do when they spot a big blue box in the middle of a big square in Cardiff? They walk straight past it
Yeah, so let's go.
because who's gonna care?
Exactly, because Mickey's like, you can't just leave it here in the middle of this busy thing. He's like, "No, nobody's gonna care. Let's go." And then they go and have a
And
nice little
nobody ever does care. And it's a
exactly.
great kind
Yeah,
of brush away sort of
yeah.
answer to
Yeah,
those
again,
people
yeah,
that would have that question, obviously, and
yes,
that has that question. It's a
and just
great
setting
way
that
of
up. Yeah.
it's a great way of setting it up. It's a great way of obviously we don't think that essentially 11 episodes into a season or 11 episodes into a new show,
Yeah,
the
new.
interpretation of a
Yeah,
show as
yeah.
it is, that we wouldn't need to reintroduce things anymore, but we still do need to reintroduce
Mhm.
things and a concept like that, and it's
Yeah,
done in a really fun way. I do
yeah,
agree with you. I like that.
yeah.
But yeah, I love the chemistry elements of this. story. I love the hangout elements of this
The
story.
levity
Did you
moment.
notice when the Doctor does observe the, Annette Badland's face on the newspaper, though, and he snatches the newspaper from that random man? Did you notice that random man's reaction was just the worst piece of acting you've ever seen in your entire life? Did you please tell me you noticed? It's okay if you didn't, but I would recommend going back and watching
Okay.
this man's acting.
Yeah, I don't
Because
think I
it is,
noticed immediately.
if you are watching today's episode of Diving into Doctor Who, I'm going to try and perform what this man did. He literally just did this. And that was it.
He didn't
That
even
was it.
emote at all.
He didn't
Oh,
emote
no.
at all. I'm sorry for the pause in audio there for audio listeners today, but I had to do that.
It was Morgan not emoting as the the actor did, and
I had
yes.
to do that. It was ridiculous, but
Oh no, poor guy.
little spotting nitpicks going on. It's not the most interesting part of the episode.
No, we appreciate that analysis.
Yes, because as soon as the Doctor spots her face, he says, "And I was having such a nice day."
Yeah, and they
And
were.
and a plan is formed then to go, obviously, to Cardiff Town Hall,
Yeah,
capture essentially. Margaret is her human name. Capture Margaret,
yeah.
and that's a fun scene, really,
Oh
isn't it? Where they're
yeah,
all forming this plan and
yeah,
getting in the different locations of the town hall. Doctor obviously goes in, tries signing in because he's got an appointment with her and he's not let in, and her little assistant PA guy goes in and says, "Oh, the Doctor's here to see you,"
yes.
and then
And
he
we
comes
just
back
hear
out
her
saying,
tea.
"Oh, well, you're not she doesn't want to see you right now, or she can't see you right now. She's very, very busy.
Yeah,
And you'll have to make an appointment for another time." And the Doctor's reaction is just, "She's climbing out of
climbing
the
out the
window, isn't
window,
she?"
isn't he? Yeah. Yes, but
Yes,
even
yes,
like
she is. Yes.
yes, but even the start of this scene, like we get into the town hall and Captain Jack is like just kind of shouting out orders of assigning
Yes.
each one of them exits to go to and watch. And then the doctor's like, who's in charge here? And Jack is like, oh, waiting orders, sir. And he's like, no, that's a good idea. Let's do that. And of course, like the three of them immediately kind of, know what they need to do. And Mickey's
Yeah.
just like, oh, he's just
Well,
super
Mickey's
confused.
clueless. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, when the doctor does try to go into her office, he says, just tell her the doctor's here. And he goes in and he tells her. And of course, he's kind of just awaiting because he says she's having her
Oh, yeah.
tea. So as soon as like he goes in there, we hear her teacup like break or whatever.
Yeah.
And then yes, he realizes she's gone out the window. And so then a big chase ensues and we see everyone running to their exits. Mickey, he's of course Jack has all this flair jumping over things when he's kind of going to
Yes.
his exit. Mickey, he ultimately ends up like running into a cleaning lady and gets his foot stuck in a bucket. Just like
Mickey's
doesn't know.
fumbling.
Yes, and everyone else is kind of getting to their spot. And ultimately she kind of slips away from them and she's like taking off like pieces of her jewelry and putting it together. And she ends up getting away and kind of teleporting away. But
Yeah.
the doctor has the sonic screwdriver, so he's able
Does.
to stop her from teleporting. And it's just kind of a funny scene because she runs away and then he teleports her running back towards them. And then she's like, what? And then she tries to teleport again. And then he teleports her running at them again. Until she's right in front of them and they're able to capture her. So
It's very casually done from the Doctor as well, with a massive smile on his face, just going,
yes.
zzz,
Yeah,
come on
yes.
then. And
Yeah.
again, zzz.
Yes. So it's all a very fun, kind of action-packed little sequence in the middle of this episode.
Yes. But yeah, so as soon as she's captured, essentially, this is where all these moral questions and moral exploration we were talking about come into play, because they obviously want to, take her back to Raxacorica Fallopatorius, her home planet. But
yeah.
we are told by Blom, who we'll call her Blom, that's the first name, that if she goes back to Raxacorica Fallopatorius, she will be executed
Yeah.
immediately
Yes.
because the family Slitheen were exiled
Yeah.
for crimes. So there must be other Raxacorica Phalopatorians who are very nice,
Good
aliens.
families. Yes. Well, I
Very
mean, we
good.
get that sense by the end of the episode when we find out what
Yes.
they ultimately decide to do with her.
So it's just the Slitheens themselves who
That were
are
just
evil.
terrible. Yes, and so we've seen that in those 2 episodes where they were introduced, and this one because, yes, we kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning. Yes, there's a reporter who's kind of questioning her and questioning all
Yeah.
the deaths that are happening around the building of this power plant, and she tells her, "Oh, let's come with girl talk, come with me to the bathroom." And of course, she's got all her farting and stuff because that's
Yeah.
what, them trying to fit in these skin suits and the gas
It's not
distribution or
quite
whatever.
as
No, as
egregious
egregious
as
as yeah.
before.
And so she goes into the stall and she's talking to the girl and she's getting ready to she's like, "Oh, tell me what else you know." And she's kind of revealing more and more what she's investigated in kind of the corruption, shady things about this power plant. And then she
Yeah.
asks her, "Oh, do you plan?" And we see her in the stall taking off her skin suit, getting
Yeah.
ready to kill this young girl, this reporter. And she ultimately asks her, "Oh, are you going to report any of this? Are you gonna, write any of this in your paper or whatever?" And she says, "Oh yeah, I plan to write all of this." And then she mentions her fiance. She's like, "Oh, but my
Yeah.
fiance thinks I'm silly for even thinking there could be any kind of shady thing going on, and he doesn't believe my silly conspiracies." And she kind of starts going into detail about kind of how sweet her fiance is and their relationship, and she ends up kind of
Cute.
listening to her and hearing her talk lovingly about her fiance, and it's getting her thinking
Yeah.
about her family. And so she pauses on killing this girl, and then she tells her, "Oh, and we're getting married because we have a baby on the way as well, and we didn't
Yeah.
mean for it to happen, but it was a happy accident. We're really excited about it." And so she hears this woman is about to be married, has a child on the way, and so she can't do it, and she gets very sentimental about it. And ultimately tells her, "Oh, I'll be in here a while, you just go," and she lets her go. So she does really have this profound moment
Yeah.
of, a moral good in her to not want to hurt this girl and really, empathize or sympathize with her story, and that she has this kind of love in her life that she's just doesn't wanna
Yeah.
decides not to hurt her. So, interesting to kind of see her have that moment, and then that's kind of where once she kind of gets caught, um, we see her kind of use that, and we see her genuinely experience this moment, but we still have to kind of tread lightly in believing is if, how deep is this change go? How deep does this
Oh,
change
yeah.
run? So I like the kind of moral quandary that, that moment with that reporter kind of sets up once, she's facing her death and how she
She's
kind of
still
uses it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's still very manipulative when she
Yeah.
is caught. There's that great scene where, well, she calls it a date that her and the doctor go
Yeah,
on
and
to
yeah,
this
again,
restaurant.
it's a funny setup because it's very much like we see Rose, she goes on a date with Mikey with Mickey, and then, so then he takes her out on a date, so just kind
Yeah.
of like match cutting it with Rose and Mickey, then it really does feel like a date, so it's kind of
Yes.
funny.
This is where Rose and Mickey obviously have their contentious discussion about, her
Yeah,
leaving him and all this kind of stuff.
yeah,
But it is, as you say, cut alongside this date, I suppose it is, between the Doctor and Blonde, who
yeah,
he learns her name is actually the full Slitheen name
yeah, yeah,
at this date. So he respectfully calls her that, but it's this playful back and forth of her trying to escape and throwing like secret poison darts out of her
yes,
fingers
and
at him and things like
yeah.
this.
And him
And
catching them and her trying to poison him with her breath, and he just sprays, like, stuff
yeah,
at her, and then it's like, "Okay, we're good, let's order." And,
yeah.
um, yeah, because I think they have, they can't go anywhere till the next day, so they have to kind
No,
of wait
no,
the
they have to
night
wait for the TARDIS to
to
charge,
charge up.
so
Yeah,
it's on this rift we were talking about
yeah,
in Cardiff. So we know the rift's there. They know the rift's there.
Yes,
so
and the TARDIS will absorb that rift's energy, and that's what will charge up the
precisely,
TARDIS to go. So
precisely.
they can't go until the next day. So on the other end, with Rose and Mickey's date, he asks her, "Hey, you know, since we have the night to wait, do you want to maybe go to a bar, and then we can maybe
Yeah.
get a room at a hotel or something?" And you're wondering what Rose's response is going to be, because she has been, you know, kind of not really too concerned about him and
No.
and their relationship, but she says, yeah, like she's into it. She would want to. So as they're kind of hanging out and spending time together, ultimately that leads to, you know, she's telling him all about her adventures and all the things she's done. But then that kind of leads to that serious conversation where he kind of confronts her about, like, where do we stand, and like, am I
Yeah.
still your boyfriend? And he talks about he dating another girl, and she
Yeah.
kind of is trying to play it off like it doesn't bother her, and telling him, like, you know, you don't, like you said, you don't even like her, and why are you with her? She's kind of terrible. And that's when he gets really defensive and
Yeah.
lays it all out for her, and they have that really serious, real conversation. And Rose, it's very sobering to her, because she's like, she can't really defend herself, because everything he's saying is pretty much true in terms of
Well,
how she's treating him. So
absolutely it is. She has no defense, and when
yeah,
that's getting, as you know, its peak of contentiousness is when the Doctor and Margaret are getting very, very intense in their conversation
yeah,
as well. You know, it's really very, very close up on
yeah,
Annette Badland's face, like teary-eyed face, almost just
yeah,
very, very intensely explaining her situation
yeah.
of, like, she'll be executed if she goes back. Are you any better than me if you sentence me to my death, and all this kind of stuff?
Yes, and she tells him the story of the girl that she let go that very day,
Yeah,
and that kind of moral change that she felt.
yeah.
And
It's a
then, you
great
know,
performance,
yes,
great
and
scene.
you're waiting to see how the Doctor responds to that, if he's going to, like, really take that in and give her some points for that. But he very much is honest with her and says, one good moment doesn't take away all the deaths that you have been responsible for. I mean, the skin suit you're
Yeah,
wearing right now, that was a human life that you took.
yeah,
So, you know, I don't know that one kind of glimmer, or a little few little glimmers of moments of letting people go and sparing people is enough to make up for the millions that you've already killed or attempted to kill.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, he kind of throws it back at her.
It is. It is a very interesting retort that she does have to him every
Yeah,
time, though,
yeah,
whereby it is this: I may have killed everybody, but I let someone go, and I'm asking you now, as somebody who has killed a lot of beings
yeah,
in your life, i.e., just coming off of the
intentional or
Time
not.
War and all that,
Yeah,
intentional or not, to let me go now. And it's this even further realization of just truly, despite the Doctor's intentions, truly how much this, I suppose it's technically not this version of the Doctor, but how much destruction and death the Doctor has inadvertently caused
yeah,
in the
yeah,
recent past, or
yeah,
in his recent past, I suppose,
yeah,
their recent
yeah.
past. And to be reminded of that is
Yes. It's always
important in
heartbreaking.
that moment.
Yes, because I think even in the first couple episodes, every episode had some allusion to what he's done and the kind of pain and guilt he feels over that. And I
I
feel
mean,
like
it's
we've
been throughout the entire seasons.
yes, but I think it was, like, constantly back to back to back to kind of get us to understand a little bit of his background as we're kind of learning
Yeah,
about, you know, this Doctor for the first time. And then I don't think we get it as often, like, it's peppered in there, but not as strong as I think the first couple episodes. So to get kind of a powerful reminder again and have it kind of thrown at him again, because
yeah,
that's what it was happening. Like, everyone was constantly throwing this in his face and bringing up this guilty feeling that he had. And so to kind of go back to that again in a really interesting way, I was really enjoying this scene because of that.
yeah. Well, let's talk briefly about how this episode comes to a conclusion, then,
Yes.
so we can get nicely into Bad Wolf. The rift starts to open in
Yes.
Cardiff. It feels and looks like an earthquake.
Yeah.
It is this enormous, devastating thing that's happening, and of course Margaret's there laughing it up and going, "This is exactly what I wanted to happen. This was obviously always planned. They wouldn't let me properly build my power station, so I've got this little piece of technology that Jack's been loving the entire episode, this sort of transmitter thing, that will open the rift for me, and I'll use it as essentially a surfboard, because it's a surfboard shaped thing, to then just surf the rift and go off into the galaxy and do whatever, I can do then. Escape that way. It's my moment of escape. So obviously it's all this having to shut down the rift and having to, stop Margaret from escaping at this particular moment. And yes, it's an intense climax, but I think it comes second to all those quieter moments in this story, I think. Ultimately, it's not really important necessarily how all that comes to happen, but what ultimately does happen is, well, Blonfelfoch ends up as an egg again. So she's defeated, but she's essentially taken back to a pre-birth stage. Somehow, time, space.
All the things. Wibbly wobbly.
Things happen. Wibbly wobbly happens. And that ends up happening. So they decide to then take the egg version of Blonde back to Raxacoricofallapatorius, because it's not Blonde Slitheen anymore. She's not going to get killed as the egg, and they're just going to drop this egg off with a new Raxacoricofallapatorian family.
And they'll raise her.
Her to hopefully grow up pleasant. And nice and not evil like the other Slitheen's. Which is a nice sort of nice rounded
compromise to the
it is.
And then we have Rose going back out into kind of the aftermath of, paramedics helping people and cleaning up after this whole earthquake kind of situation. And
trying to find Mickey.
And he sees her looking for him, asking paramedics if he's okay. And he just kind of hangs back in the shadows. He doesn't go to talk to her. And he's kind of, standing up for himself. Like, I'm done. She's jerking me around, and she doesn't know what she wants. And I can't constantly just be at her beck and call anymore, because what am I getting out of this? So, we see all of that in his face, the kind of heartbreak in his face. And he just watches her and walks away. So,
it is, but Mickey's storyline's far from over in Doctor Who. Jeannine. There'll be plenty more of Mickey. Surprisingly, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because I'll let that come when it comes. But there's plenty more of Mickey as we move in to Bad Wolf, which is an equally wonderful episode, but certainly bombastic episode. Certainly a more showy, flashy kind of episode. And it does, timeline wise, it does occur directly after Boomtown. They say as much. They've literally just come back from Raxacoricofallapatorius dropping
the egg off.
And they've been beamed onto the game station. Where is the game station? Well, it's the old Satellite 5 that was ran by Simon and his alien friend on the ceiling from the long game, the world's worst episode of Doctor Who all season. But again, it's nice that something that previously happened in the season obviously comes back here. Because we had it, in Boomtown with the Rift and in Cardiff from the Quiet Dead and all that. Obviously, the episode's titled Bad Wolf. We should say as well the
the name of the power
project.
plant, yeah.
Yeah, the name of the nuclear power plant that Margaret was building, the project, was Blythe Droog, which is Welsh for bad
Bad
wolf.
wolf. And the doctor surmises in that moment, like, "Why have I
Yeah,
heard that before? Bad wolf, it's been following us around."
everywhere.
And he names all these different times it's been said or
Yeah,
been kind of brought up, and she's like, "How are words following us?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I don't think it means anything."
yeah.
And then we do some,
Just a
you know.
coincidence, innit?
Yeah, yeah,
Essentially.
yeah.
But I think it brings up, I think the face of Bo in the End of the World episode 2 was on Bad Wolf TV or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, Gwyneth in The Unquiet Dead says Bad
Yeah.
Wolf,
Wolf,
that
mhm.
she because she's the kind of seer.
Yeah.
What else is Bad Wolf? Is Bad Wolf the
Spray
name of
painted on the
spray painted on the side of the TARDIS?
yeah.
It was obviously the nuclear power project. It was also, I think, something to do with the American dude with the Dalek. I think
Ooh, yes.
it was a
Mhm.
military corporation. It was like
Yeah,
Bad Wolf One or something like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
it's always been there. But why has it always been there? Well, we learn in this episode why it's always been there. It keeps following them around. It is the big bad wolf, shall we say? It's the big bad wolf of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Funnily enough, as though it could have ever been anything else.
exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes it is something else, but really, it's always this one thing.
Yeah,
But I do think this is such a fun episode, and I think it's a great first half of a finale two-parter
yeah,
because it's got a hell of a lot of stakes. It feels like it's got a hell of a lot of stakes. It feels very, very intense, but it's not this devastating kind of spectacle of, that a finale tends to be this hugely grand thing.
yeah,
It wants to be a bit silly as well, and it's able to that. It's able to do that, as
yeah.
we said early on in this episode, with all of its fun little versions of British game
Reality
shows from
shows.
the mid two,
Yeah,
or British reality and game shows from the mid 2000s.
yeah,
That aren't, I suppose, just British either now, because obviously Americans have Big Brother.
yeah,
But I feel like this was a very specific British version of Big Brother. I feel like this was also when people watched Big Brother. Why is Big Brother still a thing? Is the
yeah.
question. Like literally 25 years later, why
I
is Big
know, it's
Brother still a
crazy.
thing?
Yeah.
It's wild. It has. So the Doctor ends up beamed into the Big Brother house, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
Meeting Linda, who is, I feel like, everybody's favorite, well-remembered one-episode companion.
Yeah.
Like she's a really fun. Or like, is she in the? No, she'll be in the next episode as well. I should say one storyline companion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she has a little
Is she
flirty
killed? Is
moment.
she killed? Is she killed?
No,
She's not
no,
killed.
no.
I
She's
don't know.
seemingly killed as an example to show
Oh,
that she's
that's
not
right.
been killed. Yes.
No,
And she even
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, and she even has a little bit of a flirty moment with the doctor, so you think, "Oh, maybe she'll stick around for a minute," but
She does. She's really fun. I'm going to tell you now. She doesn't. She doesn't. But it is. She is this fun kind of one-off companion.
yeah, yeah,
And I really
like
like her.
her.
I'm going to give a quick synopsis of Bad Wolf, I think.
Okay.
Separated and with no TARDIS, the Doctor, Rose, and Jack have to fight for their lives on board the game station, but a far more dangerous threat is lurking just out of sight. The Doctor realizes that the entire human race has been blinded to the threat on its doorstep, and Armageddon is fast approaching. Where's Bruce
Oh.
Willis? He's not there. This isn't that Armageddon. It's the different.
No,
It's a different
no, the
one.
different one. Yes.
Bruce Willis would have no hope in this. Even
Even with his
1998 Bruce
drill.
Willis
Yeah.
would have no hope, and his drill
Yeah.
facing off with what the Doctor has to deal with in
Yeah.
this story. But yes, the Doctor ends up in the Big Brother house, and he just thinks it's like the regular Big Brother
Yeah,
housemate
like
will
this
be
dumb
fine.
TV show. Yes.
Rose ends up in the Weakest Link, and she just thinks like it's a weird future version of the Weakest Link with a robot Anne Robinson.
Yeah.
And Jack ends up obviously in the makeover show,
The show.
with
Yeah. Two
trying.
robot people taking off his clothes and trying to change him into other things. And,
I feel like Jack's having the best time.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's charming these robots and like knows he's on TV, and so he's like selling it and smiling and doing all the things. Yeah.
I also feel like, because obviously all three of these games we come to learn are very threatening.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
Jack is the last to learn that his is like probably pretty threatening. I think the other two kind of learn quicker.
they
So
do, yes, but also Jack's still having a good time when he
yeah,
learns this, because he's
yeah,
like, well, he'll just deal with it then. And
yes,
he
and
also
that's
has
just as
all these
fun.
clothes to try on,
Yeah,
and that's fun for Jack.
yeah.
So, okay.
He also
Um,
gets another flirty moment with the
and Jack,
guy.
I mean, let's call it what it is. Jack is always flirting, and it's not just with Rose. Jack and the Doctor flirt with each other as well, it has to be said.
Yeah, and the guy kind of running the TV station ends up having a flirty moment, and
He
the
does.
doctor's like,
Yes,
"Time
he
and
does.
place, time and place,
Yes,
Jack."
he does. When they actually eventually
Yeah,
manage to escape from their
yeah,
respective games,
yeah.
because it's a fascinating idea, really, and we learn from Linda, the kind of Big Brother housemate that the
Mhm.
Doctor's with, that this game station started from the ashes of the news corporation that it was
Yeah,
in
that
the
was
long
there
game,
before.
Simon
Yeah,
Pegg's thing.
yeah.
Because obviously the Doctor and Rose, well, they stopped all that. They did away with
Mhm.
it. They destroyed it. But because of that, like, the Earth has had 100 years of horror and
Yeah.
hell, essentially, whereby they now have seemingly deadly game
Game
shows
shows, yeah.
perpetually. Like, and there's just thousands of them, thousands of television channels that everybody's watching. We should also say that this is when the concept of thousands of television channels and endless television was a bit novel.
Yeah.
20 years ago, it isn't anymore. There's
Yeah.
we don't even have television channels. Who watches television channels now? Nobody.
Right? Yeah.
I
Poor
don't.
cable companies, I know.
But this was a novel idea, so the idea of it still holds true. The idea of it still means something.
Yeah.
But it's just endless people watching these destructive game shows. It's a bit Hunger Games like, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a movie on Morgan Hasn't Seen a few years ago when we did our movies about TV, and we did Stay Tuned, where it was like a devil TV kind of thing, where John
Yeah,
Ritter gets sucked into this kind of
yeah,
devil version of TV shows where,
yeah,
every channel there's something that's trying to kill you.
yeah. That's right.
So
It is quite like that.
yeah.
But I do think it's done in a funny way. But the seriousness of it that we learn from Linda, played wonderfully, I think, by Jo Joyner, British TV staple, that she came to be, um, gives the Doctor a lot of pause, because he knows he's caused this through
Yeah.
what he did in the long game, and saving that situation has inadvertently caused 100 years of hell on Earth,
Yeah.
and to the point where now Satellite 5 has been transformed into the game station
Yeah.
with this controller figure, who's a terrifying looking concept as well.
Yeah.
The controller in this ghostly blue
Yeah,
wired
I
up
mean,
body horror alien looking thing.
yeah, it was kind of giving me, like, precog from Minority Report. Like,
Yes,
yes.
it is a little bit like that.
Yeah.
It's sort of that mixed with something that Cronenberg would come up
Yeah, mhm. Yeah.
with. It's this awful looking human, but that's not a
all
human. That's just
connected to
babbling
wires.
these
Yes.
numbers and gibberish and random words and things like that seem to mean something and control certain aspects of this space station. But the controller also has a master. We obviously come to learn the controller also has a master. We don't know what that is yet, but it will come by the end of this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a it's a terrifying image. I think that along with the empty child image, I would say,
and then
has the most childhood trauma for me from this first season of Doctor Who.
Yeah, because then you learn that, like, she was connected to this thing since she was 5, so she doesn't know any
Yeah.
other way of life.
No.
That, like, she was kind of born into this kind of crazy being, this entity almost. So,
Yeah.
that kind of makes it that much more terrifying. But our characters end up kind of learning how deadly these games are, because the doctor, he's in this place and he's just trying to figure out how to get out, and then one of the roommates gets kicked off, and so he thinks, okay, well, she's gonna go.
Yeah.
And the 2 other roommates that are there are, like, really emotional, telling her goodbye, and they're really sad and kind of scared, and he's like, what's the big deal? She'll just go home and she'll probably be more successful and famous outside of this after doing this show. And he's just sat there on the couch lounging, like, and they're watching on camera as she's kind of going to make her exit, and then he sees her get disintegrated, and he's like, wait, what's happening here? So then he kind of learns, okay, this is not just a normal thing. And
Yeah.
then Rose, as she's on the weakest link, everyone's voting the person who did the worst in the round. And so she votes for this lady and says, oh, well, I think she got the least amount of questions correct. And everyone's like all sad. And the lady is scared and like begging for, please don't, I'll do better next time. And everyone's like, and Rose is just like, what's the big deal? She's just gonna be eliminated.
Just a game show.
Yeah, right. And then she sees, Android disintegrate her with a laser, and then Rose now learns, like, okay, I'm gonna die if I don't win this game or if I get voted. So now both of them are kind of fully aware. And then Jack, they're stripping off all his clothes and telling him what to wear, and then the next piece of his makeover is, oh, well, maybe we'll just chop off your head and do all these things and see what, and sew it to your chest and see what that looks like. And so part of how this makeover gets dark is that they'll like just kind of like cut him into pieces and put him back together in some crazy way and see how that looks. So then ultimately he's kind of, able to dispatch these robots and destroy them and get out of that situation. And
because he's been hiding some sort of weapon.
And they're like, where were you hiding that? And he's like, you don't want to know. Typical. So he's able to kind of be the first to get out of his situation, but the other 2 are kind of stuck trying to figure it out. So
it's,
the doctor,
it gets intense. Obviously, the doctor's going to be fine, but Rose on the weakest link is intense. And I think when the doctor is able to escape from the Big Brother house, as it is, with Linda, he gets himself forcibly evicted from the Big Brother house. Because somebody briefly mentioned that somebody else had been forcibly evicted for damaged property. So he decides to damage some property in the Big Brother house. So he will be forcibly evicted by robot version of Davina McCall. And he knows full well he's not going to be disintegrated in this room, because why would they have brought him here? He knows something else is going on, so there's a reason he has been brought here. So he's not just a random human. He's not going to be disintegrated. They're not going to allow that to happen, and they don't allow that to happen. So he's able to escape, and he takes Linda with him. And that's when they realize that Rose is in the weakest link, and Linda herself is terrified at the concept of being on the weakest link. Like, that's the worst one.
Of the shows.
Because the android is just, purely awful and
brutal. I mean,
brutal. And obviously, the weakest link as a game show itself was probably the most terrifying one to be on at that particular time in Norway. victory because Anne Robinson herself
give
was
personal insults and things like that.
all the time with the personal insult.
Yeah.
You could not get away with putting Anne Robinson on the weakest link now.
Yeah.
In fact, I think, funnily enough, Anne Robinson was the host of Countdown. Do you know Countdown? I think that's
Mhm,
brought up as a game show
mhm.
in the game station as
Yeah.
well. We don't
I
see
only
it.
know Countdown, seeing it in British movies.
Okay. She was the host of Countdown for a while, and I think she got sacked from it
Really?
because
She was so
she
kind
would
of
just
cold demeanor.
because she was being that same persona on Countdown, and it's a softer show. It's a much
Yeah.
softer show.
Oh my
So,
god, that's funny.
and people were just taking it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they ever really did on The Weakest Link. They were just terrified of her.
Yeah, they knew that that's what they were in for. But yeah, and then Rose is on this show with a very competitive guy as well, so
Yeah.
he's kind of ready to throw her under the bus at every turn. So we get down to Rose and this one guy, and we see them kind of going back and forth, and her getting some things right and some things wrong.
Oh, there
And
are all
then
these random alien questions as well, aren't
yeah,
they? They're not just
yeah.
regular old questions.
Exactly. So it's like this really kind of tense back and forth of the doctor trying these different, doors to find out where she is. And her trying to answer these questions and competing against this guy. And so ultimately, yeah, we're just cutting back and forth. Oh, is he gonna find her in time? Oh my gosh, she's getting things wrong. And then at the end, we reveal that, she was the weakest link in that round, and so she's about to lose. The doctor hasn't found her yet. Oh my gosh, this big, huge buildup. And then ultimately, he finds her. He comes into the room right when,
Yeah.
she's told she's
Stop!
gonna be. Yes. So Rose runs to the doctor and she gets disintegrated right in
She
front of
does.
him. And the doctor's reaction, Jack is there as well. His
Mm.
reaction, he's like, fighting the producers and the security and telling, you killed her, you killed her. And the doctor he is like heartbroken into silence. Like he doesn't
Breaks
know.
down onto his
Yeah.
knees.
Yeah. He's not saying anything. He's just like totally ghost mode.
Because
Um,
look, I think
yeah.
you genuinely thought at the time, obviously, I think we knew,
Yeah.
but you would genuinely have thought at the time that would have happened like that because
Yes.
this was the finale of the season. People
Yeah.
knew this was the finale two-parter of the season.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming towards the end. That could have happened unceremoniously,
Exactly. The
and
changing of companions and that whole kind of
it
thing.
happens all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could have happened that way, and the Doctor would have then had to deal with it into the finale of the episode.
Yeah, and you think
Um,
it could have happened because there's all this buildup in, especially in the episodes with Jackie, where she's very much, "I'm entrusting you with the care of my
yeah,
daughter," and the doctor feeling a lot of responsibility and guilt in taking care of
yeah.
Rose and that kind of thing.
We know this
And
season loves the theme of death, so why would it
yes,
not be that?
exactly. So having those kind of things looming that were in other episodes and kind of a focal point moment, you're thinking back to that in this moment and like the guilt he's feeling, all over again, like with
Yeah,
with the Time War stuff um and losing all those people, and now losing Rose and the responsibility he had to take care of her. So like the fact that he doesn't say anything, it's just this complete heartbroken shock that he's in.
well,
Um,
Eccleston's always there for a powerful performance. He
yes,
may have frankly hated his time on Doctor Who. Loved playing the Doctor, loved being the Doctor,
but
loves
the
the
people,
concept of Doctor Who. Hates his time on Doctor Who because of the
yes,
people
behind the scenes, yeah,
producing.
yeah.
Um, but he is always there giving such powerful
Yes, I
performances when
loved
he
that he
needs
played
to.
that. So, like, yeah, he's not getting angry or crazy, he's just completely so heartbroken that he's just stunned into silence.
We'll leave
It
his crazy anger until about 10 minutes later.
Yeah, so ultimately they get taken away and put imprisoned, and he's still kind of in this stoic mode. He's not answering any questions. Linda's with them as well. She's not answering any questions. And then the doctor's kind of like looks at Jack and says, "You ready?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then they like, as the
Yeah.
guys are about to lock them in, they kind of beat up the guys and are able to get some weapons and get out.
Yeah.
And they end up finding the control room, and that's when they start getting answers about everything. So, yeah.
Just a few. Just a few. One more thing though, before we do get into the control room little climax of
Yes.
this, or cliffhanger, shall we say,
Yeah.
control room cliffhanger of this episode. There is so much nostalgia for me in this particular episode.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
For some reason, this episode, like a lot of what we're going to be talking about in diving into Doctor Who in these first few seasons, hold a lot of nostalgia for me.
Yeah.
There's something I think about this particular episode. I don't know if it's the whole culmination of Bad Wolf as a concept, or the game shows being there. The fact I would genuinely always used to watch The Weakest Link and the androids' perfect delivery, because they got Anne Robinson to do it, obviously.
Yeah.
Of her just sharp goodbye, and you are the weakest link.
Yes, and a kind of robotic voice. Yeah.
Even with the wink that Anne Robinson would always give, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
And there's a warm sense to this horrifically cold episode to me, and it's weird that it has that. I think. I was never really into Big Brother like that, but it's the weakest link.
Yeah, the nostalgia of seeing that on your TV. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very specific era of time. Yeah.
Very, very specific. Very, very specific. But yes, the control room. They're in the control room now. Jack comes in all guns blazing with his massive ray gun looking things.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Doctor is slightly less flashy, but demands answers. And well, thankfully, obviously, we do learn that people who seemingly are disintegrated from these game shows, well, they're not disintegrated at all. They are transmitted to another space in space, essentially.
Yeah.
They're just transmitted somewhere else. You assume so they can probably go on to a different game or something else, or they're just, for some other purpose. Now, what this other purpose ends up being, seemingly, is, unless this is just specific to Rose, I don't think it's ever quite clear if this is just specific to Rose, or if everybody who gets disintegrated is beamed to this particular location for the benefit of the particular species for whom is growing a particular military organization.
A fleet.
A fleet, an army.
Yes.
Of metal cased things. Yes. But we go to the controller, don't we? And the Doctor's kind of fascinated by the controller. He's like, well, who's that? What's this? What's going on here? Oh, that's the controller, don't question the controller. He's trying to get answers from the controller. He's obviously not getting much from the controller, but the controller then seems to speak to her masters, because her masters are watching everything that's going on. Of course they are. And as soon as her masters see the Doctor, they decide to wet themselves, proverbially. If the masters could wet themselves, that would be quite funny, I think.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. Would I like to see? Probably not. It would take away any threat, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they already had to suffer through not being very threatening. This is their...
Yes. This is their threatening era, to be fair.
Yes.
This
is their threatening we should take that away from
them. But where does Rose end up? Not disintegrated. She ends up on a Dalek ship.
Yes, and I like the slow reveal as well, because we see something coming towards her, and we see the kind of subtle, kind of muddy reflection of the thing as it comes up to her, and then we get the full reveal of what it is and who it is.
There's something also frighteningly nostalgic about the design of the Dalek ship for me as well. I think I must have some sort of model or have had some sort of thing of it somewhere. Or, years and years and years ago, obviously. But that curvy sort of gold embossed sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's great, just industrial sort of design.
Yeah. But I even noticed kind of with the bodies of the robots that were on the shows, they have kind
Yes.
of the same rounded bottom, like,
Yes.
as a Dalek.
They are quite Dalek coded,
Shaped.
aren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
You see, the Daleks have built all this, though. You see,
Yeah.
the Daleks are in charge of the game
Yes.
station.
They are
The
the
Daleks have
master of
hidden.
that.
They are the master of the controller. The Daleks
Yeah.
have hidden themselves virtually on top of the Earth with this enormous cloaking device they seem to have. They've hidden this massive fleet of ships. How they've managed to do this, we don't know because, well,
Build
we
up
know
their
how they managed
numbers
to do
and
it. The one Dalek that survived, remember?
yeah.
Remember the
Mhm.
Dalek from
Mhm.
Dalek? He didn't
Yeah.
kill himself, did he? We thought he did.
Yeah.
No. He's clearly transmitted himself somewhere. And
Yeah.
has been able, we don't understand how, but it's happened, has been able to create a fleet of
Yeah.
Daleks, millions of them at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know what Dalek reproduction's like, but it must be pretty
Yeah, some kind
rapid.
of cloning type of I don't know. We don't
But
quite get
mind
into
you,
that,
when is the game station supposed to take place? It's clearly
yeah.
centuries into the future.
Yeah.
And when was the episode Dalek? 2010 or something like that, wasn't it? Was it
Yeah.
set in like 2010 or
I think so.
2012?
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, the Daleks have had time to build up, and they do. And as soon as you start hearing the voice, as
Yeah.
soon as you start, you just, we're in for it now.
Yeah.
Yes. And the Doctor has a nice little conversation with the Dalek masters
Yeah.
over the screen. I'm gonna, wipe every stinking Dalek out of the sky.
Well, they threaten him. They're like,
Of
"Oh, well,
course,
if you don't do what we need you to do, we're going to kill Rose." And he's just
no,
like,
you're not.
yeah, exactly. He calls their bluff and he says, "No." And they're like, "What? No." And he
What
tells yeah, exactly. And he just tells them no. And
do you defile us, Doctor?
yes. And so he basically calls them out and says all the things that you said that, he's going to destroy every last one of them. And
You
they
will not destroy the Daleks. And giving it all that.
yes.
That's what.
Yes, and as the episode ends, they're like, "Oh, the doctor's being threatening, so it's time to exterminate."
It is.
And they go
And that's
off
how
on it.
I love we end with the big
Of all
exterminate.
of them, exterminate. Yes.
I think
And
my
Rose is just
favourite
like,
thing.
they're
You know
like,
what I
"Oh my
think my
god."
favourite thing about? We're
Yeah.
gonna get so much. I'm gonna be obnoxiously obnoxious in my Dalek impressions over the
No,
course
it's
of the
good though.
finale.
It's very
I
good.
think. But my very favourite thing about the way the Daleks speak is the fact that when they get intense, they start shaking. They start doing a bit of a shake,
Yes, like
as
they're
though they're just
upset.
really,
They
really
can't handle
agitated.
it. Yes, yes.
What? You dare to talk back to me, Doctor?
Yeah. I noticed that too.
Calm down, please, the Dalek.
Yes, but I love kind of how he ends with like, "And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna save Rose," and all that. Yes,
Yes.
he gives it all the
The hero
the
moment.
yes,
It is the
yes,
hero
the
moment.
heroic words that we want to hear. And yes, they're just freaking out. Exterminate,
Exterminate.
and that's where, yeah.
You will be exterminated.
Yes, and Rose is just like, "Oh god,
I don't want to be exterminated."
yeah,
Please.
and that's where we end. Yes,
It is. Great cliffhanger though, isn't it?
yes,
Great reveal.
yes,
Great
yeah,
reveal. So looking forward to getting into the finale, obviously. It's this huge. I know it's sad. I know it's sad, but it is this
feeling
huge
I'm
deal.
feeling the pain all over again. Like this, literally, I stopped watching the show after this because I didn't want to say goodbye to the doctor.
I know, but we'll be getting straight into what comes after. We're not going to give you the time to wallow. So, because I think you had the time to wallow before.
Well, I mean, I might have a little time.
You have to get straight into it.
Well, I might have a little time to wallow. We'll see.
You might have a little time, to be fair. You might have a little time. That is true. We might split it up a bit and, do some other thing for a little short period.
A little brief time, yeah.
But then again, that would make sense because, of course, the 10th Doctor did appear for the first time in a Christmas special, which you would have had to wait some time for after a season's end. Yeah. So that does make a bit of sense. That we won't be waiting that long.
No.
But maybe a short period of time.
Yes.
But I'm very much looking forward to the parting of the ways, Jeannine. It is, of course, Christopher Eccleston's send-off, his regeneration episode. There's plenty of hero moments, but it's also this monumental action spectacle of an episode. Yeah. The Daleks everywhere.
Yes.
And it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. It's intense. It's emotional. It's crazy. It's everything you could want, I think, in a Doctor Who finale.
Yeah.
Which is, can't be said necessarily for today's Doctor Who's finales, which were not very well received. Either of these recent two series. When the finales of which were not very well received. There was episodes in there that were, but the finales were, they weren't good. And they were written by the same person that wrote this one.
Seriously?
So it's a weird situation.
Yeah.
But very much looking forward to it. What a great time we've had today diving into Doctor Who.
Great episodes.
Wonderful episodes that they are in very different ways.
Yeah.
The flashier side and the much more grounded kind of
lots of human character moments. Yes. Love that.
From the least human people possible.
Yes.
The Doctor and a Raxacarica Patronian. Which I'm going to keep saying because it's good vocal training to say.
Yes, very impressive. Stop showing off.
Rose learns to say it properly in the episode. That's
I
nice.
will not be learning.
You're not going to do it. Okay, that's fine. We'll be back on diving into Doctor Who for the 9th Doctor's finale, the season 1 finale, in a couple of weeks' time. Of course, this alternates every Monday here on It's a Wonderful Podcast with Discovering Dawson's Creek. If you are watching today, subscribe and ding your notification bell on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel, of course. What else can you do, Jeannine? You can subscribe wherever you may be listening today. If you are not watching, you can leave your comments on Spotify, rate and review anywhere else. If you would like to support us on Patreon or donate in any way, you can find links to do that in the description of this episode. There's also been things scrolling down at the bottom of the screen, all episode long if you're on YouTube, and the social media. You can find us on across there at It's a Wonderful One on the app formerly known as Twitter and on Blue Sky. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at The Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in there because, Jeannine,
3 is a magic number.
On Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at The Purple Dawn. We also, of course, have Morgan Hasn't Seen on Wednesdays and the main show every Friday, celebrating old movies, John Grisham adaptations, and, of course, Noirvember 2025. Our Brit Noir series are the series going on over there at the moment. All your Daleks are where, Jeannine?
You can find me at Jeannine __ on Twitter, Jeannine DeBeat on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you want to get any merch for any of our shows, just check the description for the link or search G9 Design on tpublic.com.
And please, in your finest impression of Anne Robinson, take us out.
3, 2, 1. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I was just gonna do the wink thing as well.
Oh yeah.
And people listening
Wouldn't be able to. Yeah.
I'm going to do it anyway.